Diversity in the living world. If you look around, you will see a large variety of living organisms, be it potted plants, insects, birds, or your pet, or other animals and plants. There are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eyes, but they are all around you. If you were to increase the area that you make observations in, the range and variety of organisms that you see would increase. Obviously, if you were to visit a dense forest, you would probably see a much greater number and kind of living organisms in it. Each different kind of plants, animals, and organisms that you see represents a species. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. This refers to biodiversity or the number and type of organisms present on Earth. We should remember here that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. As stated earlier, there are millions of plants and animals in the world. We know the plants and animals in our own area by their local names. These local names would vary from place to place, even within a country. Probably you would recognize the confusion that would be created if we didn't find ways and means to talk to each other, to refer and organisms we are here talking about. Hence, there is a need to standardize the naming of living organisms such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is identification. In other in order to facilitate the studies, number of scientists have established procedures to assign a scientific name to each known organism. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world. For plants, scientific names are based on agreed principles and criteria, which are provided in International Code of Botanical Nomenclature (ICBN). You may ask how the animals named. Animal taxonomists have evolved, evolved International Code of Zoological Nomenclature (ICZN). The scientific name ensures that each organism has only one name. Description of any organism should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. They also ensure that such a name has not been used for any other organism. Biologists follow universally accepted principle to provide scientific names to known organisms. Each name has two components, the generic name and specific name, epithet. This system of providing a name with two components is called binomial nomenclature. This naming system was given by Carlos Linnaeus, is being practiced by biologists all over the world. This naming system using a two-word format was found convenient. Let us take the example of mango to understand the way of providing scientific names better. The scientific name of mango is written Mangifera indica. Let us see how it is binomial name. In this name, Mangifera represent the genus while indica is the particular species or a specific epithet. Other universal rules for nomenclature are as follows. Biological names are generally in Latin and written in italics. They are Latinized or derived from Latin irrespective to their origin. The first word of biological name represents the genus while the second component devotes the specific epithet. Both the word in a biological name, when handwritten, are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate their Latin origin. The first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter, while the specific epithet starts with a small letter. It can be illustrated with an example of Mangifera indica. Name of the author appears after the specific epithet that is at the end of a biological name and is written in an abbreviated form. Example: Mangifera indica Lin. It indicates that this specific was first described by Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all the living organisms, it is necessary to devise some means to make it possible. This process is called classification. Classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient category based on some easily observable characters. For example, we easily recognize groups such as plants or animals or dogs, cats or insects. The moment we use any of these terms, we associate certain characters with the organism in that group. What image do you see when you think of a dog? Obviously, each one of us will see dogs and not cats. Now, if we were to think of elastians, we know that we are talking about. Similarly, suppose we were to say mammals, you would of course think of animals with external ears and body hairs. Likewise, in plants, if we talk, if we try to talk of wheat, the picture in our mind, picture, sorry, picture in each of our mind will be of wheat plants, not of rice or any other plant. Hence, all of these dogs, cats, mammals, wheat, rice, plants, animals, etc., are convenient category we use to study organisms. The scientific term for these categories is taxa. Here, you must recognize that taxa can indicate category at very different levels. Plant also form a taxa. Wheat is also a taxa. Similarly, animals, mammals, dogs all are taxas. But you know that dog is a mammal and mammals are animals. Therefore, animals, mammals, and dogs represent taxa at a different level. Hence, based on characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa. This process of classification is taxonomy. External and internal structure, along with the structure of cells, development processes, processes and ecological information of organisms are essential and form the basic and modern taxonomic studies. Hence, characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature are the process that are basic to taxonomy. Taxonomy is not something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about the various kind of organisms, particularly with reference to their own use. In early days, human beings needed to find source of their basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. Hence, The earliest classifications were based on the use of various human organisms. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing about more about different kind of organisms and their diversities, but also the relationship among them. The branch of study was referred to as systematics. The word systematics is derived from the Latin word systema, which means systematic arrangement of organisms. Linnaeus used systema nature as the title of his publication. The scope of systematics was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. Systematics take into account evolutionary relationship between organisms.